Of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. We are continuing with Canto 1, Creation, chapter 13. Dhṛtarāṣṭra quits home, and we will continue with verse number 15 today. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So starting from Canto 1, chapter 13, verse number 15. Abhibrad aryamadandam yathavad agakarishu yavad dadhara shudratvam shapad varshasatam yamaha. Abhibrad aryamadandam yathavad agakarishu yavad dadhara shudratvam shapad varshasatam yamaha. Abhibrad aryamadandam yathavad agakarishu yavad dadhara shudratvam shapad varshasatam yamaha. What word, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Abhibrata, administered, aryama, dandam, punishment, yathavat, as it was suitable, agha karishu, unto persons who had committed sins, yavat, as long as, dadhara, accepted, shudratvam, the tabernacle of a shudra, shapat, as the result of a curse, varshasatam, for 100 years, yamaraj. As long as Vidur played the part of a Shudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, Aryama officiated at the post of Yamraj to punish those who committed sinful acts. Purport. Vidura, born in the womb of a Shudra woman, was forbidden even to be a party of a royal heritage along with his brothers Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Pandu. Then how could he occupy the post of a preacher to instruct such learned kings and Kshatriyas as Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Maharaj Yudhishthir? The first answer is that even though it is accepted that he was a Shudra by birth, because he renounced the world for spiritual enlightenment by the authority of Rishi Maitreya and was thoroughly educated by him in transcendental knowledge, he was quite competent to occupy the post of an Acharya or a spiritual preceptor. According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anyone who is conversant in the transcendental knowledge or the science of Godhead, be he a Brahmana or a Shudra, a householder or a sannyasi, is eligible to become a spiritual master. Even in the ordinary moral codes maintained by Chanakya Pandit, the great politician and moralist, there is no harm in taking lessons from a person who may be by birth less than a Shudra. This is one part of the answer. The other is that Vidura was not actually a Shudra. He was to play the part of a so-called Shudra for 100 years, being cursed by Manduka Muni. He was the incarnation of Yamraj, one of the 12 Mahajans, on the level with such exalted personalities as Brahma, Narad, Shiva, Kapila, Bhishma, Prahlad, etc. Being a Mahajan, it is a duty of Yamraj to preach the cult of devotion to the people of the world, as Narad, Brahma and other Mahajans do. But Yamraj is always busy in his Plutonic kingdom punishing the doers of sinful acts. Yamaraj is deputed by the Lord to a particular planet, some hundreds of thousands of miles away from the planet of Earth, to take away the corrupt souls after death and convict them in accordance with their respective sinful activities. Thus, Yamaraj has very little time to take leave from his responsible office of punishing the wrongdoers. There are more wrongdoers than righteous men. Therefore, Yamaraj has to do more work than other demigods who are also authorized agents of the Supreme Lord. But he wanted to preach the glories of the Lord, and therefore, by the will of the Lord, he was cursed by Manduka Muni to come into the world in the incarnation of Vidura and work very hard as a great devotee. Such a devotee is neither a Shudra nor a Brahmana. He is transcendental to such divisions of mundane society, just as the personality of Godhead assumes his incarnation as a hog, but is neither a hog nor a Brahma. He is above all mundane creatures. The Lord and his different authorized devotees sometimes have to play the role of many lower creatures to claim the conditioned souls. But both the Lord and his pure devotees are always in the transcendental position. When the Yamaraj thus incarnated himself as Vidur, his post was officiated by Aryama, one of the many sons of Kashyapa and Aditi. The Adityas are sons of Aditi, and there are 12 Adityas. Aryama is one of the 12 Adityas, and therefore it was quite possible for him to take charge of the office of Yamaraj during his 100 years absence in the form of Vidur. The conclusion is that Vidura was never a Shudra, but was greater than the purest type of Brahmana. Bhaktivedanta purports ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So translation again here. As long as Vidura played the part of a Shudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, Aryama officiated at the post of Yamraj to punish those who committed sinful acts. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashtaprayashu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati bhaktir Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. This is a very important verse. We can understand this is, as Prabhupada says many, many times in his scriptures, that this is science of Krishna consciousness, science of Godhead. It is not something whimsical. It is not something mythological or something which has been concocted by someone. Yes, here we see the mercy of the mechanism of the Lord's creation. Also, we see the mercy of the Lord and we see mercy of the devotees. How? Krishna has made the arrangement in such a way that if by the providential arrangement, if something happens like here, Yamaraj, is of course a Mahajan and he's punished by a Manduka Muni. So Manduka Muni is a Brahmana, so his curse also will have to, take effect. So the mechanism is that yes, his curse is taking effect. Yamaraj is coming as Vidura. So who will do the job of Yamaraj? Then there is Aryama. Aryama is the head of Pitraloka. So he officiates, as Prabhupada says here. In the 5th canto, there are wonderful prayers by Aryama for the Supreme Person. And he's worshipping Varahadeva. So Aryama also is not an ordinary personality, as we can see. To officiate in the place of a Mahajan is also not something very ordinary. And of course, Prabhupada says here that Yamaraj is so busy that he cannot take leave. I don't remember who, someone asked His Holiness Kadambakaran Maharaj, that Maharaj, we have got, some question to some sort of effect that we have, family duties, we have got work, we have got services, we've got our sadhana. So can sometimes we take a back seat in our spiritual life. So Kadam Kanan Maharaj said that there is no holiday in Krishna consciousness. There is no holiday in Krishna consciousness. So we take, Mahajana Sagathana Panthe. So we follow on the path of the Mahajans that, yes, we're always trying to be Krishna conscious, we're always trying to progress. So two answers Prabhupada gives here. The first answer is that, of course, Vidura was enlightened. He was spiritually enlightened, not only by his own penances, not only by his own austerities, his own travels, his own visiting the holy places, bathing in the holy rivers, but also he was enlightened by the authority of Rishi Maitreya. Maitreya, in turn, was enlightened by the authority of Uddhava. And Uddhava, in turn, was enlightened by the supreme authority of Lord Krishna himself. So Krishna, before he departed, he spoke to Uddhava, the knowledge. Uddhava spoke to Rishi Maitreya, and Maitreya spoke to Vidurji. So we can see here that even though Vidur, Prabhupada starts the purport as, yes, he was born in the womb of a Shudra woman, and he was not a part of the royal heritage. He didn't get, the inheritance and all that. But still, because he is a Vaishnava, because he's a Vaishnava who is above Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So Vaishnava who has got the science of transcendental knowledge. He knows the transcendental knowledge. There's a very nice verse where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking questions to Ramananda Rai. Now, amazingly, that is a very wonderful samvad. If you read the book Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, there are 5 wonderful conversations by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one of them is with Ramananda Rai. It's called Ramananda Rai Samvad or Rai Samvad or Ramananda Samvad. Yes, anyway. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts asking questions to Ramananda Rai to take him on a trip from the lowest level of spiritual realization to the highest level of spiritual realization, to the Gopi Bhav, to Radha Bhav. In the beginning, Ramananda Rai says, I'm like a Shudra. You are a sannyasi. How can I teach you? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him this most important verse for us, especially in this day, in age of Kali, where we cannot find any proper Brahmana, we cannot find any proper sannyasi, we cannot find any proper Vaishya, Kshatriya, no one. Everyone is just completely, messed up. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kenanaya Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Haya. So he says, yes, whether one is a Brahmana, Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, if someone is a sannyasi, Shudra Kenanaya, if someone is a Shudra, regardless of whatever one is, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta, Veta means to know. So one who knows the Krishna Tattva, Se Guru Haya, so he becomes a spiritual master. He says, whether you are a Brahmana, a sannyasi, a Shudra, whatever you are, you can become a spiritual master if you know the science of Krishna. And in that purport, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada quotes his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he says, yeah, you are Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Vanapasta, Grihastha, Sannyasi, whatever you are, as long as you know the science of Krishna consciousness, you can become a spiritual master. Now we can think, as yesterday Bhagavatam Prabhu mentioned very nicely, that all of us can be gurus and all of us have to be gurus. And he gave the story of how in the beginning when Prabhupada told the new devotees who are hippies, that yes, you all have to become gurus. You all have to become Vaishnavas. They were looking at each other like how we are looking at each other sometimes. Me, not me, no. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells that there are 3 types of gurus. And we can become 1, 2, or I don't know the third one, but at least 2 of them we can become. The first guru who gives information, second guru who gives initiation, third guru who gives instruction. So guru who in the beginning, the first time gives information about spiritual life is called a Vartama Pradarshaka Guru, or also called Pathdarshak Guru, someone who shows the path. So you meet someone, it can be your daughter, your son, some devotee on the road. You go to the temple and Pujari is speaking to you. He's talking about Krishna consciousness. It can be anyone. Someone who's giving you the first information about spiritual life is called the Vartma Pradarshaka Guru. And all of us in the beginning, we would have met some devotee who would have spoken to us about Krishna. and we got interested because of our previous background, and then that person is our Vartma Pradarshak Guru. He gives us the information. The second is, after we start taking seriously, we start practicing, then someone who gives us initiation is called Diksha Guru. And then someone who gives us instructions is called a Shiksha Guru. So, of course, the Guru who's giving instructions for elevation is called Shiksha Guru. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that factually, the qualification of a spiritual master depends on his knowledge of the science of Krishna. Very important. It depends on the knowledge of the science of Krishna. And that's why time and time again, we are told to study Srila Prabhupada's books carefully and scrutinizingly. Yesterday, we were, Bhagavatam Prabhu was speaking from one of the purports, and Prabhupada is talking about hearing and explaining. And hearing, of course, includes reading, because when we just hear, if we don't explain it to others in the way we have understood, then it is incomplete. So we have to hear, we have to read Prabhupada's books, and we have to explain it to others. This way, we can become a guru. So here, Vidur is, he's a spiritual master, even though he's born in the Shudra family, or he's a Shudra by birth. And the second part, Prabhupada says, the answer is that he gives the background of Vidurji, and he's saying, actually, he's not a Shudra. He is not a Shudra at all. Who is he? Originally, he is Yamaraj. And Yamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajans on the level with the exalted personalities as Brahma, Narada, Shiva, Kapila, and all of them. Who is enumerating the 12 Mahajans in Srimad Bhagavatam? None other than Yamaraja himself. So in the 6th canto, in the story of Ajamil, there's beautiful description where when the Yamadutas could not take the soul of Ajamil to be punished, and the Vishnu Dutas, they intercept the Yamadutas. Yamadutas go back to their Lord Yamaraj, and they start asking questions, they start doubting him. And then Yamaraj, very affectionately, very nicely, he explains the science of Krishna consciousness, that no, I'm not the supreme. There is supreme. There are Mahajans, there's a path of bhakti, and then there's the holy name. So he explains very beautifully. It's a very, very wonderful conversation between Yamaraj and the Yamadutas. I would suggest that, in these holidays, if you have time, you should go through those conversations between Yamadutas and Yamaraj, where the Bhagavad Dharma is very nicely enunciated by Yamaraj. So Prabhupada gives us the mechanism here that yes, Yamaraj is punishing the wrongdoers. That's his office. That's his responsibility. So we also all have our responsibilities. We have our family responsibility. We have our fatherly, motherly duties. We have our home duties. We have our work duties. We have all these things. But at the same time, we have to take our duties of a Vaishnava, of being a devotee, very, very seriously. Yes, we are told that we have to take care of the body, mind, intelligence, all those things. But we should not spend so much time on those things that we have no time for not only perfecting our lives, but then perfecting the life of the others. Narad Muni in the 7th canto, when he's speaking, he's actually saying to Yudhishthira Maharaj at the end, confirming what Prabhupada says here, that if one shows the symptom of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. So we know that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarna Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So we are Brahmana, Shudra, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a Vaishnava according to our guna and karma, according to our activities and our qualities. So we can see that Vidurji was Yamaraj himself, a Mahajan himself, but to show the mercy to all the devotees, to everyone on the planet. Now, you have to also understand that when Vidurji is traveling, it is not only that he is getting purified, because Vidurji is a Mahajan himself, Yamaraj is a Mahajan himself. He's actually preaching in every town and village. Wherever he's going, he's preaching the science of Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, he also it gives us instructions by his behavior that yes, we have to take instructions from the authorities. He himself took instruction from Maitreya Muni, Maitreya Rishi. And then Prabhupada, at the end, he says, yes, Aryama is one of the Adityas, the Dwadash Adityas, the 12 Adityas. And Aryama is a son of Kashyap and Aditi. There are 12 Adityas. And Aryama is one of them. I think is the third one. There is Vivashwan, there is Shachi, then there's Aryama, then there is the 12 Adityas like that. And Aryama offers a very, very wonderful prayer to the Lord, at the in the fourth canto. So now, when we speak about Vaishnava Shudra or the Brahmana Shudra Kshatriya, what did Prabhupada want us to become? Prabhupada wanted us to become Vaishnavas. Here Yamaraj is coming as an arrangement of the Lord to come. Prabhupada says here, Yamaraj is coming. He's deputed by the Lord to a particular planet, right? To take away the corrupt souls after death and convict them in accordance with their respective sinful activities. So Yamaraj is also playing a part in the whole arrangement of the Lord, where the Lord wants us back to his place. So Prabhupada, in a similar fashion, Prabhupada, we know that Brahmananda Prabhu mentions that he did not want to come to this wretched material place. Prabhupada did not want to come to this place. Prabhupada said, I don't want to come here. So this is a conversation where Brahmananda Prabhu was present here. And he is mentioning that devotees are speaking to Prabhupada. Says, Prabhupada, you are the Mahabhagavat, you are the first class devotee. Why you come here? And Prabhupada is speaking to them, in a very informal conversation. Prabhupada is saying that yes, I didn't want to come here, but Krishna said, no, you go there. Prabhupada said, this is the time when there were temples all around the world. Prabhupada was still going full steam, preaching everywhere, and the devotees were very fortunate to spend some intimate time with Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is, speaking that yes, I have so many palaces, so many temples all around the world where I can stay. He says, but what do I do? I am following the 6 Goswamis. He says, practically speaking, there's no difference between the Goswamis and me in terms of our lifestyle. Prabhupada says that they stayed under a different tree every night, and I stay in a different palace every night. They wrote, I write. And so Prabhupada says, originally I did not want to come here. So when they were speaking, the devotees thought that he did not want to come to America. But Prabhupada clarifies here. He says, no, he was not talking about coming to America, but to this material world. He said, Krishna asked me, he said, I want you to write about those books. Come down and write those books. And Prabhupada said, Prabhupada said to Krishna, but I don't want to go to the material world. And Krishna said, don't worry, I will take care of everything. You just write those books. And Brahmananda Prabhu writes very nicely. He says this is the first and only time that he ever heard or read where Prabhupada actually spoke about Krishna speaking to him. So we can imagine here also that Prabhupada, speaking to Krishna, Krishna is speaking to Prabhupada. And this is a very loving exchange between a pure devotee, a Mahajan, in one of the classes, Bhakti Brihad Bhagavatam Maharaj, in one of his wonderful classes in London, he says that Prabhupada, all these 12 Mahajans are very compassionate. These 12 Mahajans, Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumaro, Kapilo, Manu, Pralado, Janako, Bhishma, Bali, Vaiyasaki, Vayam. When Yamaraj enumerates these 12 Mahajans, Brihad Bhagavatam Maharaj says that these 12 Mahajans are very compassionate, but Prabhupada is the sum total of the compassion of all these Mahajans. Prabhupada is the sum total of the compassion of all these Mahajans. So we have to understand the mercy which Prabhupada is giving us. We cannot take these things lightly. We cannot take our human life very lightly. If we take our human life lightly and then not become serious in Krishna consciousness, we don't go deep enough. We have to come back here. And Prabhupada says, don't take that risk. Don't take that risk. And then Brahmananda Prabhu says that when Prabhupada was actually speaking like this, he was recounting that Prabhupada was speaking to Krishna and Krishna was speaking to him. He says that atmosphere was nothing like he has ever experienced. You can imagine that. A pure devotee recounting his direct experience with none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So here also we can get a glimpse of that meditation in this purport, where the Lord and his devotees are making arrangements that every one of us can go back to Godhead. And we also have to become a part of that. Giriraj Maharaj in one lecture, he recounts, he says, when in the beginning in New York, when Prabhupada started chanting under a tree in Tompkins Square Park, it was a very strange sight for the New Yorkers. They've never seen anything like that. And people with musicians who are there, they came with their drums, their djembes, their trumpets, whatever it is. And Giriraj Maharaj says that Prabhupada entered the world of these New Yorkers with the holy names. He entered their hearts. And the next day, there's a headline in New York Times, Swami's flock chants in park to find ecstasy. Because, they were all hippies and they were trying to find ecstasy in the drugs. But here, they're finding ecstasy in chanting. And then, of course, the devotees were going out in the streets and chanting in parks and everywhere they're chanting throughout the world in every town and village. And then Giriraj Maharaj recounts his experience in South Africa and Johannesburg, where, they were going and, in a place like Surfers Paradise, there's a market theater, where everyone is performing their own arts. So it's called market theater. And there's Zulus in tribal dresses. There are, many other, blacks and whites and coloreds and Indians. They're all, giving their own performances, and enter the devotees, and they are inviting all these people, the Zulus, the whites, the blacks, everyone, to chant the holy name. And Giriraj Maharaj says that everyone united in God's names. And people are asking, how are these, they are called Rastafarians, how are these Rastafarians and the Hare Krishnas coming together, singing and dancing? And so Giriraj Maharaj says that God speaks in different languages, but he is the same God. So wherever we go, we have to chant and dance. Prabhupada says, what is the difficulty in coming together and singing God's name? So this way we can understand that Yamaraj, Vidurji, all the Mahajans, what they want is that we follow in the footsteps. We go out into every town and village and we spread the holy name, following in the footsteps, and make this world a better place to live. We have 1 minute. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please unmute and share. Otherwise, it's 7 o'clock already. Prabhupada says very nicely here, the conclusion is that Vidura was never a Shudra, but was greater than the purest type of Brahmana. So Vaishnava, a Mahajan, He is always greater than the purest type of Brahmana. So this way we can become a Vartma Pradarshak Guru, give information to someone about Krishna consciousness, become a Shiksha Guru, give instructions to people who want to understand more about spiritual life, and of course we can direct them to the Guru who's initiating, so who gives initiation. So anyone wants to share something, any of the realizations, reflections, please unmute and share. Okay, thank you very much for joining. Granth-raj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna willing, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 6:30 again for to continue the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.